Hey everyone, welcome to the horror show. I'm Cecil Laird.
Fuego here.
I'm Mercer.
Derk Andrew.
And we are here to do a special review for an advanced screener that we got from the filmmaker himself, actually, Matt Eskandari.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
All
right.
Got the name right.
I'm hoping
yes.
I didn't butcher it too much sound-wise, but he reached out to us after we did a trailer reaction to the movie 12 Feet Deep. And we actually were really on board when we did the trailer reaction. I think Marsha was here at the time. Were you here for that one too, Derk? Yeah, I know Brittany was not. Brittany almost got on board with this one. I showed her the trailer earlier today, and she watched it and her jaw dropped. She was like, and like she like almost lost her breath. She's like, that feeds into my claustrophobia. I don't know if I could watch that. So she ended up having to go to work anyway, so she dodged a bullet, but... so we got to actually watch the screener that the director sent to me, or us for the show to review, and that's what we're doing. So, again, it's not available for mass consumption yet, right?
No, I don't think it's even on VOD yet.
Yeah. So this is, like I said, an advanced review, and we're going to do it like usual, where we talk about the movie overall. Then we'll go into the story, the acting, the effects, all that good stuff, all the pertinent information. And we won't spoil it, though, because obviously with the movie not even being out, that's not a fair thing to do.
There's a lot to spoil, too.
There is. But let's start off with our overall thoughts. I enjoyed it. I thought that, unfortunately, the limitations of putting two people in a pool for an hour and a half really showed themselves.
Yeah.
But for... having to work within those limitations, I thought it was pretty effective.
Yeah.
Fuego?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, actually, where I can't say that I loved it, but I loved the concept so much, and they went places with it that I wasn't expecting, honestly, and it turned into something that I was pleasantly surprised by, actually.
Andrew?
Yeah, I can kind of follow up with that. I had kind of an idea of what I was going to expect from the movie, and... it was good, but I don't know if expectations always leads to a problem with the movie or whatever. So I don't know if I expected too much out of it or whatever, but it just good, not great kind of a situation for me. But overall, I mean, it looked great. Everything was good, just not something that jumped out for me.
Okay, Derk?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Andrew. I feel like the trailer sold it for me. But when it comes down to it, I don't think that was enough of a story for it to be like a feature film. So I would see it more as a short, but it just started to kind of get too long for me.
Okay.
So
all right, well, let's talk about the story. So the story is about two sisters who clearly don't hang out all that often. They're like trying to hang out this one time for old time's sake or whatever.
Kind of estranged.
Yeah, kind of estranged. One of them has their life together and has a fiance, and the other one is sort of an ex-drug addict who, is sort of the black sheep of the family.
Back living with mom, and you can tell she's not happy at all with her life.
Yeah, so that presents sort of the already existing conflict between the characters, and they're at this public pool, and run by Tobin Bell, I should say, for those horror lovers, especially Saw lovers.
They paid him for his one day.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, so they are in the pool, and they get told to get out, and unfortunately one loses her engagement ring and dives down to get it, and the sister goes to help her, and while they're down there, Tobin Bell doesn't see them, thinks everyone's gone, and shuts the lid over the pool and leaves. And so before they're able to come up and get out, the lid is shut, and they come up, and now they're stuck with about a foot's worth of air at the top, and no way to get out except for one tiny little hole in this hard cover. So yeah, that's the plot of it, is what do they do when they're stuck in this thing? How do they get out? Do they get out? And is there anyone on the surface above them that is going to help them out? That's sort of the overall premise.
Yep.
And slightly more specifically, yes, there is someone else that interacts with them. They do allude to that in the trailer.
They did.
They just don't show who, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to spoil who, but It is a person that they end up having to sort of have a verbal tete-a-tete with, and it's what happens from there is essentially how it breaks down. Now, again, I think we all touched on the fact that they did what they could with the limitations, and the story was not quite enough to sustain an entire hour and a half long movie. But is there anything else about the story that you liked? Like, I thought the interplay between the sisters started out really forced. Like, they were getting to dialogue you would have gotten to in the second act, in the first act. I thought that was like a little strange, but by the end, I thought their relationship was more paying off for me. So, who wants to jump in? Andrew?
I guess my one big gripe with the story, well, I guess I had two of them. One, it was, I feel like in this movie, you kind of had to throw, I don't want to say common sense, but just kind of basic logic and just kind of throw it out the window.
In some certain instances.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, maybe if you're in these situations, you don't know how you'd act and all that kind of stuff, whatever, but just some things were just like, just head-scratching moments in the movie. And then, kind of to go with the backstory, I felt like they got to the problem so fast. They didn't set up any of the character development and all that stuff until they were already stuck, and that did nothing for them. Mm-hmm. They could have had a conversation before they got stuck in the pool that laid out a little bit of who they were, what their background was, and all that kind of stuff, but they didn't.
Yeah, First time you could feel for the characters.
Yeah, because basically you were force-fed all these backstories right away, and you just had to believe them, and you had to be as sympathetic as the movie expected you to be. And to me, it was just like, I don't, I want them out of the pool. I don't care about that stuff. Like,
yeah, and I mean, there was some melodramatic, cliche type bits of conflict, unfortunately, but I mean, don't all or lots of people experience them. So I mean, these are common experiences, common quarreling amongst sisters, and where one is doing very good and one is doing very very bad in her life, and just that dichotomy and the jealousy and the resentment and stuff like that. But I mean, some of the beats were just, quaint and not that intriguing. But still, I did feel decent chemistry with them, and I mean, you felt the love more as we progressed through it.
Yes.
But twist-wise, they did some twistiness with this story-wise that I actually. It kind of saved the movie for me. Right when I would start to get bored with, okay, they're back to shouting at each other, and then something would happen. I'm like, oh, okay, my interest is renewed. So, and that kind of ties in with an interaction that he alluded to with somebody up outside. So, yeah.
Derk, anything else about the story stand out to you, or not stand out?
No, I think Jaime hit it on the button about like just that there is some pretty good twists in it that keeps you interested, and so I enjoyed watching it. It was just I don't know, I don't think I'd ever go back to it or anything like that.
Yeah,
it's one of those movies that it's kind of forgettable, but
one and done.
Yeah,
it's again, it's a good premise that just isn't delivered on quite as much as you might hope to have that lasting effect. It's a very similar setup to Adam Green's Frozen, and that was done very, very well in my opinion. This one, not quite as successfully. They had, well, not really one less cast member to work with, but I think what you guys were saying about the build-up stuff, yeah, we were stuck with them in the pool by about minute 8. And I think we could have stood to have waited until minute 15 or 20.
Yeah.
And like show them, getting to the pool and stuff, and show the fiance dropping off the other, sister and stuff like that. Like actually show us some stuff rather than having to tell us everything.
Yeah, like maybe some phone calls back and forth of them meeting to meet up or something like that.
Or just again, the one sister, the together sister is bitching to the fiance about having to get together with the other sister.
Yeah.
There's a lot you can sort of show there. Again, you'd be stuck telling a little bit, but you'd be telling way less than you're telling in this way. And again, it's easier to invest that rather than having to be force invested in it.
Yeah. Because some of the like just long monologues back and forth, it was just it felt like it needed to be somewhere else than it was, and that's why I say it should have been a little longer before they end up getting trapped.
Now, also having to do with the story, I think it could be scary for a lot of people that are claustrophobic or hydrophobic, you know?
But they didn't even touch on that. Like, neither one of them was claustrophobic, which I think that would have been, like, a good thing to touch upon.
And I think as the movie got on, they downplayed the medical emergency that was going on, too, because, I mean, her symptoms, I mean, yeah, she got to a point where she did look a little rough. She never got past that point.
No.
I mean, it literally didn't look like she was. I mean, I don't know what they could have done to drive that point home, but there wasn't the sense of urgency just wasn't there to get her out of.
Well,
the
they
pool.
used it for tension too early in the movie, because then some of the other stuff later on, she's way too alert and able to do stuff as compared to previously in the movie when she wasn't, and she hasn't gotten anything to improve that.
I was thinking it was coming in waves though, and I bought
Maybe.
into that.
Well,
I mean,
a spot that I was kind of confused on, but I ended up liking, after the fact, was the whole flashback fall asleep thing they did. Because I'm like, what the hell just happened? And then I realized, like, she's losing it. That kind of got me to think, okay, now is she going to be able to separate reality from, what's going on in her head and all that stuff? So I kind of reinvested at that point, but she was fine.
That didn't play out.
No, it didn't play out like that at all.
that's a mild spoiler too.
Well, not that much. Not that much. So let's talk about the acting, though. I mean, we touched on it a little bit. I thought, the acting felt sort of stiff and forced at the beginning, but as they got on and actually were given the reins to really show the emotional effect that this sort of situation could have, I thought they were way more effective. And I thought the third party involved was good, although her motivations were
everywhere.
Yeah, we're completely all over
She
the
was
place.
funny. At least
she's scatterbrained though, and you could. Sorry, Dirk, I interrupted there.
No. Go ahead.
No, she was totally
It's
again,
okay. We already ruined that, but that's okay.
It's a she.
Yeah, the third party is a she.
Yeah, that you meet early on in the film, and honestly, I felt like she's a very well-rounded character with just. I don't know. She was trying to figure herself out. She actually had a lot in common with the troubled sister, without revealing too much, and that's why I kind of sympathize to a point. But then you want to hate this person, and yet I don't know the dynamic. I was laughing at it at first, but then the more I thought about it, I was like, this actually does make sense. And as far as you guys saying the stiffness at the beginning. I think two sisters who haven't talked in a while, things would be a little stiff and weird and awkward early on.
True.
And so I kind of didn't mind that. It just seemed like they were trying to, puff their chests out and, I don't know.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Andrew, the acting to you?
I don't think it was bad. I was trying to remember what the not the troubled sister, the other one.
Bree?
I thought she was in Sons of Anarchy.
I didn't watch that show.
Jax Teller's wife. Could be wrong, but I think she did a pretty good job. Multi-layered. The whole how do I put this with being the whole backstory thing was very cool. How she let kind of that right time, right place, and everything. That was cool. Built on the character too to show that not everybody's perfect, kind of a deal, even though that's all she heard from her sister, that kind of a deal. So.
And they didn't specify, but I got the vibe that she was the older sister.
Yeah,
it seemed like it.
Well, just the way that they positioned her, the other one was always looking up to her, always thought that she had to fulfill her shoes and that kind of thing, be the right sister, whatever it was. I thought it was cool. The acting was cool. The other chick, I think. She was a little, she was a little different. I don't know, a little hot flashy, more emotion to that character. But they kept me as entertained as possible for the duration of the pool. So honestly, that says something. Because at any point in time, a bad actor, you could have just checked it right out of that stuff.
That's true.
So, that's true. Because they did have to sustain pretty much amongst just three people.
And it's basically dialogue. It's not like they have a bunch to work with. It's just dialogue. So kudos to them. I guess everybody else just kind of played their part, did what they were supposed to. No, extremely amazing, performances or anything like that. But I think those two, they did what they were supposed to. They kept you engaged. So
fair enough. So let's just, I guess we can move on to the effects, the music, and the sound. I mean, all of them were serviceable. The effects weren't much needed until sort of the little bit of practical makeup effects.
Mm-hmm.
That was effective, although logically it didn't make a lot of sense. But nonetheless, that stuff was okay for the little bit that we got, and then the music and the sound. The sound design was okay.
I thought the sound design was pretty cool because they started doing little tips to their childhood and stuff, and there are a lot of audio cues with that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
people laughing and stuff like
stuff
that
in the background.
Yeah.
So I thought
That's
that was
true.
a nice little nod.
Kind
of played into them kind of losing it a little bit and just kind of hearing things, even though they were in there for 8 hours and didn't hear anything. So
and also reliving all that childhood stuff that they were discussing, and there's a few revelations about certain scary, crazy things that happened to them as kids, as they were kind of unraveling that beat. Personally, I thought visually the film looked really good. I thought it was well shot.
Cinematography,
all the underwater stuff was great, and some of the slow-mo swim scenes where these pretty ladies were nice, which is always good. But sorry, but yeah, great looking film for a guy who, from what I saw on his IMDb, doesn't have an extensive body of work. So
yeah, it was very beautiful. The cinematography was very well done. Again, it's rough, but it was effective when you feel claustrophobic and feel like you're trying to keep your head above water to watch what they're doing, so that does deserve kudos for sure.
And I don't know if it was purposeful or if it's just the way that the movie went, but the under the cover shots, the more the movie went on, it felt like they started becoming more and more, halfway submerged, almost like the guy that was filming it was starting to get tired.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was just coincidence, but
no, that was probably purposeful. So it feels like they're starting to lose ground.
Yeah. Again, I don't know if it was
they're getting tired treading water,
right?
And they're like a little bit lower.
If that was the case, then that's again brilliant cinematography.
But again, it just kind of went unnoticed. You had to pick up on it and notice it yourself, or else it was just another part of the movie that flew right past you. So.
That's true. That's a good point. That's the kind of director, thing that you want to try and keep in mind when you're making your own movie. Little details
Shoot
like
this
that.
just a little underwater.
Yeah,
what?
Exactly. All right. Well, I think that's going to cover our thoughts on 12 Feet Deep, you guys. Here's hoping it gets its distribution in the very near future, and I hope that you guys get to experience it as well if it sounds like something that would interest you. I'd be interested to hear if you guys are into it based on our review or our trailer reaction, or if it's just kind of, if it happens on Netflix. Let us know in the comments down below. Also, make sure to like, share, and subscribe the video. Subscribe to us, rather, like and share the video. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. Until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
Gracias, Jaime, Fuego.
I'm Andrew Mercer.
Derk Andrew.
And remember, stay scared!